I'm Ruby, 24 years old now, but the wounds of my 18th birthday still feel fresh sometimes. What should have been a celebration of adulthood became the day my parents chose my pregnant sister over me, literally kicking me out of my childhood home. I never imagined that day would set in motion events leading to one of the most spectacular displays of karma I've ever witnessed. Before I begin my story, let me know where you're watching from. In the comments, hit subscribe and stay tuned to see how justice was served at my sister's wedding. Family meant everything to me growing up. Our household consisted of my father, James, mother, Laura, my older sister, Amanda, who was 4 years older than me and myself. We lived in a modest three-bedroom house in a quiet Minneapolis suburb. It was small, but it was home filled with family photos and memories. From an early age, I threw myself into academics. While Amanda was more interested in her social life and dating, I maintained a 4-point GPA throughout high school. By my senior year, I had been accepted to the University of Minnesota with a partial academic scholarship. I was proud of this achievement, but knew I would need to live at home to make college financially feasible. My parents had always supported this plan. As my 18th birthday approached in May, just 2 weeks before graduation, I felt on top of the world. Adulthood was beginning, and I had a clear path forward. I planned a small birthday dinner at my favorite Italian restaurant with my parents' sister and a few close friends. Nothing extravagant, just good food and people I loved. The day before my birthday, I went shopping with my best friend Zoe for a new outfit. We found a perfect blue dress that made me feel sophisticated and grown up. "This is going to be the start of everything, Zoe," I told her as we browsed accessories. 18 graduation, college. Everything is falling into place. Zoe smiled and squeezed my shoulder. "You deserve it all, Ruby. Your hard work is paying off." I woke up on my birthday morning feeling excited. The sun streamed through my curtains, and I lay in bed scrolling through birthday texts. I made myself a special breakfast of French toast and had just sat down to eat when I heard the front door open. "Hello," called a familiar voice. It was Amanda, who had been away at State University. She wasn't supposed to be home for another week when finals ended. My parents exchanged looks I couldn't quite interpret. Something felt off. "Amanda, what are you doing home?" I asked, giving her a hug. She looked tired with dark circles under her eyes. "Just wanted to be home for your big day," she said, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. Breakfast was strangely quiet. Dad kept checking his watch. Mom barely touched her food, and Amanda seemed to be avoiding eye contact with everyone. When I mentioned my dinner plans, nobody responded with enthusiasm. "Is everything okay?" I finally asked. "We need to talk after breakfast," Dad said firmly. As a family, a knot formed in my stomach. Something was very wrong, and my perfect birthday was about to change in ways I couldn't have imagined. After breakfast, we gathered in the living room. I sat on the edge of the sofa, anxiety building as my parents and sister exchanged meaningful glances. "Ruby," my father began, clearing his throat. "We have some family news to discuss." My mother reached for Amanda's hand as my sister suddenly burst into tears. "I'm pregnant," Amanda blurted out, her voice barely above a whisper. The room fell silent. I stared at my sister, trying to process this information. Amanda was 22 in her final year of college, and as far as I knew, not in a serious relationship. "It's Tyler's." She continued, referencing her on-again, off-again boyfriend of 6 months. "But he doesn't want anything to do with it. Or me now." My mother pulled Amanda closer. "When she called us last week, we drove to campus immediately. She's almost 3 months along and has been dealing with this alone." "I'm so sorry," I said to Amanda, genuinely concerned, despite the strange timing of this announcement on my birthday. "What about finishing your degree?" Amanda shook her head. "I can't. Morning sickness has already made me miss too many classes. I'm withdrawing for now." My father stood up, pacing the small living room. His next words changed everything. "Ruby, this brings us to a difficult decision we've had to make." He stopped pacing and looked directly at me. "Amanda needs to move back home. She needs support and stability right now." I nodded, still not understanding why this conversation couldn't wait until tomorrow. Of course she should come home. "The thing is," My mother continued, her voice strained. With the baby coming, we need to prepare. This house only has 3 bedrooms, ours, yours, and the small office. The realization dawned slowly then, all at once. I felt my heart rate accelerate. The office is too small for Amanda and a baby, my father explained. She needs a proper bedroom. Your bedroom. But where will I sleep? I asked, confusion clouding my thoughts. My parents exchanged another look, and my father straightened his shoulders. Ruby, you're 18 today, a legal adult. We think it's time for you to find your own place. The words hung in the air like poison. You're asking me to move out today on my birthday. We understand this is sudden, my mother said, not meeting my eyes. But Amanda's situation is an emergency. The baby changes everything. What about college? I can't afford rent and tuition, I protested, tears forming. You have that scholarship, my father reminded me. And we can give you $500 to help you get started somewhere. $500 for a lifetime of shelter and security. My head spun with disbelief. We've always taught you to be independent, Ruby, my mother added. You're so capable. Amanda needs more support right now. I looked at Amanda, expecting to see some remorse or gratitude. Instead, she was scrolling through her phone, seemingly disconnected from the fact that her situation was displacing me. So, my birthday dinner, I began. We'll have to cancel that, my mother said quickly. With everything happening, it doesn't seem appropriate. I sat frozen, tears now streaming down my face. 18 years in this family, and I was being discarded for making the right choices, while my sister was being rewarded for her mistakes. The doorbell rang, startling us all. That's probably Zoe, I said numbly, remembering she was supposed to pick me up for pre-dinner preparations. When I opened the door, Zoe's smile quickly faded as she saw my tear-stained face. What happened? She asked, stepping inside. I need to pack, I responded, my voice hollow. I'm moving out. Today. The next few hours passed in a blur of tears and confusion. Zoe helped me pack my essentials into 2 suitcases and 3 boxes, all I could fit in her small car. My parents hovered awkwardly, offering half-hearted suggestions about affordable apartments, while Amanda napped in their room, exhausted from her emotional day. You can stay with me until you figure things out, Zoe whispered as we folded my clothes. My roommate won't mind you on the couch for a bit. I nodded gratefully, unable to speak through my tears. My phone kept buzzing with birthday messages from friends, each one a painful reminder of how quickly my celebration had transformed into catastrophe. By evening, instead of enjoying pasta and cake with loved ones, I was sitting silently in the passenger seat of Zoe's car, watching my childhood home disappear in the side mirror. My parents had given me an envelope with $500 cash and awkward hugs. Their final words, "Call us when you're settled," felt like a dismissal rather than concern. That first night on Zoe's lumpy couch, reality hit hard. I was homeless. My carefully planned future had shattered in a single day. I curled into a ball, muffling my sobs with a borrowed pillow as Zoe and her roommate slept. The following week was a frantic scramble. Between finishing high school and job hunting, I visited every affordable apartment within bus distance of campus. Each was either wildly expensive, dangerously run down, or both. My scholarship covered tuition, but nothing else. The $500 from my parents would barely cover a security deposit, let alone rent. My parents texted occasionally, asking when I'd collect the rest of my belongings, but never asking how I was managing. When I called once, breaking down in tears, my mother sounded distracted. We know this is hard, Ruby, but you're strong. Amanda needs us right now. The morning sickness is terrible. We're converting your room this weekend. After 2 weeks of searching, I found a tiny studio apartment in an old converted house. The bathroom was down the hall, shared with 3 other tenants, and the kitchenette consisted of a mini fridge, hot plate, and a sink. But it was clean, and only a 30-minute bus ride from campus. The landlady, Mrs. Patterson, was a widow in her 70s who lived on the first floor. "You're so young to be on your own," she commented as she showed me around. "Students usually want roommates." When I explained my situation, leaving out the painful details, her eyes softened. "I normally ask for first and last month's rent, but we can work something out. First month and half the security deposit, now the rest when you can." This unexpected kindness brought fresh tears, these of gratitude. I moved in the next day, my worldly possessions fitting into the tiny space with room to spare. I found two jobs: morning shifts at a campus coffee shop and weekend work at a grocery store. Between work and maintaining my scholarship requirements, I barely slept. Each day was an exhausting routine of classes, work, studying in the library until closing, then collapsing onto my narrow bed. Thanksgiving arrived, the first holiday away from family. My parents invited me for dinner, but added that Amanda needs rest, so perhaps just a short visit. Instead, I accepted Zoe's invitation to join her family, who welcomed me warmly. In December, I finally visited home to collect winter clothes and a few sentimental items. My old bedroom had been transformed: walls repainted from blue to yellow, my desk replaced by a changing table, my bookshelf filled with baby items. Amanda lounged on my old bed, now adorned with new maternity pillows, watching TV while our parents fussed around her. "Your things are in those boxes." My father pointed to the garage. "Take what you want, we'll donate the rest next week." I left with another suitcase of belongings, and a heart growing colder toward the family who had so easily replaced me. 2 years passed with remarkable speed. Despite the challenges, I not only survived, but thrived academically. My professors knew me by name, impressed by my determination. I made the dean's list every semester, despite my grueling work schedule. More importantly, I built a network of true friends who became my chosen family. Zoe remained steadfastly loyal, introducing me to her study group. There was Aisha, a brilliant pre-law student with a wicked sense of humor; Jackson, who could explain complex physics while stress baking cookies; and Danny, whose tiny apartment became our gathering place for movie nights and moral support. During my sophomore year, I met Michael at the campus coffee shop where I worked. He came in every Tuesday and Thursday before his engineering lab, always ordering the same thing, Americano extra shot, and leaving a generous tip. One rainy morning, we were the only two people in the shop when the power went out. "Guess the universe wanted us to finally have a real conversation," he joked as I served him lukewarm coffee by flashlight. Our 10-minute chat revealed more compatibility than I'd felt with anyone in years. Michael's family embraced me immediately when we began dating. His mother, Elaine, insisted I join their Sunday dinners, and his father, David, helped me navigate financial aid applications with paternal concern I'd been missing. For the first time since my 18th birthday, I experienced what family support should feel like. Meanwhile, my relationship with my own family had become perfunctory at best. I received occasional texts, usually updates about Amanda and baby Lily, born the winter after I moved out. My parents transformed into doting grandparents, their social media filled with baby photos and proud announcements. During rare visits home, I felt like a ghost. Conversations revolved around Lily's milestones and Amanda's parenting challenges. When I shared news about making the dean's list or receiving a prestigious internship, their responses were cursory. "That's nice, Ruby," before redirecting to Amanda's latest drama. The internship proved life-changing. The engineering firm where Michael had connections needed a business operations intern. Despite being outside my major, I applied, leveraging my organizational skills and work ethic. By the end of the summer, they offered me a part-time position that would convert to full-time after graduation. 3 years after my disastrous birthday, I graduated with honors. Michael proposed the following weekend, presenting a modest but beautiful ring. "My mom helped me choose it," he admitted sheepishly. "She says you're the daughter she always wanted." Planning our wedding raised uncomfortable questions about my family's involvement. Despite everything, part of me still wanted them there. After much discussion with Michael and my therapist, a luxury I could finally afford through my university's counseling center, I arranged lunch with my parents. We met at a neutral restaurant. I outlined our simple wedding plans: a spring ceremony at Michael's family's church, small reception at a local community center, honeymoon road trip to national parks. "That sounds lovely, dear," my mother said with polite distance. Then, almost as an afterthought, my father added, "Oh, we've been meaning to tell you. Amanda and Tyler have reconciled. They're getting married too." I paused, fork midway to my mouth. "Tyler, the one who abandoned her when she was pregnant?" "People change," my mother defended. He's really stepped up as Lily's father. When's the wedding? I asked, sensing unwelcome news approaching. April 15th, my father answered. Just a month before yours. Isn't that a nice coincidence? It wasn't a coincidence. It was another instance of Amanda taking center stage, my mother's excitement about helping plan a real wedding, barely concealed. I later learned they had already committed $15,000 to Amanda's ceremony, more than triple what Michael and I had budgeted for our entire celebration. As I drove home, I realized some patterns would never change unless I changed my response to them. For the first time, I felt genuine pity rather than hurt. My family remained trapped in their dynamics, while I had built something healthier. The 6 months leading to the weddings passed with increasing tension. My parents expected me to participate enthusiastically in Amanda's elaborate plans while preparing my own celebration. Every family dinner became a showcase of Amanda's wedding details: the designer dress, the luxury venue, the 5-tier cake. "Ruby, you're so good with organization," my mother would say. "Could you help Amanda with her seating chart? And the favor boxes need assembling." I established firm boundaries, explaining that my own wedding and full-time work left little time for additional commitments. This was met with disappointment and comments about family support that stung with their hypocrisy. Amanda transformed into the quintessential bridezilla, throwing tantrums over flower arrangements and demanding multiple dress fittings that everyone was expected to attend. Tyler remained mysteriously absent from most planning sighting work commitments. The week of Amanda's wedding arrived with mounting chaos. The rehearsal dinner was scheduled at an upscale restaurant on Friday evening, but when the wedding party gathered, one person was noticeably absent. "Where's Tyler?" my father asked after 30 minutes of awkward waiting. Amanda called him repeatedly, each unanswered ring increasing her agitation. After an hour, the rehearsal proceeded, without the groom with the best man standing in. "He's probably just stuck in traffic," Amanda insisted, her voice brittle with forced confidence. By midnight, panic had set in. Tyler wasn't answering calls from anyone. My parents organized a search party, calling hospitals and checking his apartment. I reluctantly joined, concerned despite our difficult history. It was Amanda who made the discovery at 2 a.m. scrolling through Tyler's tablet that he'd left at her apartment. A series of text messages with someone named Jessica revealed everything: an ongoing affair, complaints about Amanda and her clingy family, and plans to meet that very evening. The family converged at my parents' house, where Amanda alternated between hysterical crying and murderous rage. My mother hovered uselessly, repeating, "But 300 guests are coming tomorrow," while my father made urgent calls to Tyler's parents. At 3:30 a.m., the doorbell rang. Tyler stood swaying on the porch, visibly intoxicated. "Where have you been?" Amanda screamed, launching toward him. What followed was a public meltdown for the family record books. Tyler, uninhibited by alcohol, unleashed months of resentment. "You trapped me with that kid," he slurred, pointing at Amanda. "Only reason I came back was your parents promising a house down payment and helping with my loans." I froze at this revelation. My parents had offered financial support to Tyler's support. They had never offered me, even when throwing me out. "How much?" I asked, my voice cutting through Amanda's sobbing. "How much are you giving them for a house?" My father wouldn't meet my eyes. "It's complicated, Ruby. We're just trying to provide stability for Lily." 20,000, Tyler announced with bitter triumph, from her college fund that they didn't use because Miss Perfect got scholarships. The money that could have supported me when they cast me out had been saved for my sister's boyfriend instead. The unfairness was so absolute it transcended anger, leaving me in a strange state of clarity. Amanda slapped Tyler hard across the face. He stumbled backward into a side table, sending a lamp crashing to the floor. The noise brought out neighbors and several early arriving wedding guests staying nearby, creating an audience for our family's disgrace. "Wedding's off," Tyler shouted, storming toward his car. "You can't drive like that," I said, blocking his path and taking his keys. "You're drunk." "Always so responsible, Ruby," he sneered. "No wonder they don't love you as much." He stumbled off into the night, leaving devastation in his wake. My mother collapsed onto the sofa, lamenting the deposits and embarrassment. My father appeared suddenly aged, the consequences of years of enabling finally coming due. Amanda turned to me with tear-swollen eyes. What am I going to do? For the first time since my 18th birthday, someone in my family was asking for my help, rather than taking my sacrifice for granted. Despite every instinct telling me to walk away, I found myself unable to abandon Amanda in her moment of crisis. Perhaps it was residual family loyalty, or maybe the hard-won maturity that allowed me to break destructive cycles. I sent Michael and our friends home, promising to join them later, and made coffee for the family crisis meeting. When Amanda and I found ourselves alone in the kitchen, she broke down completely. "I've been awful to you," she admitted, mascara streaking her cheeks. "For years. I took your room, your place in the family. I watched them throw you out and said nothing." The acknowledgement, so long overdue, unlocked something between us. "Why?" I asked simply. "Jealousy," she confessed. "You were always the smart one, the responsible one. Everyone compared us. When I got pregnant, suddenly I was the center of attention. I liked it. At my expense," I pointed out. She nodded, shame evident. "I'm so sorry, Ruby. I've made such a mess of everything." That conversation, happening in the ruins of her wedding plans at 4 a.m., was the most honest exchange we'd had as adults. It didn't erase the past, but it cracked open a door for possible reconciliation. By morning, practical decisions needed making. 300 guests would arrive by evening, thousands of dollars in deposits were non-refundable, and Amanda was determined not to let Tyler's betrayal completely devastate her. "I still want a celebration," she declared. "Not a wedding, but something. I'm reclaiming this day." I spent the day negotiating with vendors, explaining the situation, and revising arrangements. The wedding became a new beginnings party. My parents, shocked into temporary humility, deferred to my organizational skills without question. When evening arrived, guests gathered with curious anticipation, rumors having spread throughout the day. Amanda chose to wear her wedding dress anyway, a gesture of defiance rather than romance. The peaceful celebration lasted exactly 43 minutes before Tyler arrived, even more intoxicated than the night before. "You think you can have this party without me?" he shouted, pushing past the usher. "After everything your family promised." Security moved toward him, but not before he reached the microphone intended for toasts. "Let me tell you all about the Williams family," he slurred into the microphone. "They throw out one daughter on her birthday to make room for another. They bribe men to marry into this circus. They're all about appearances." Horrified gasps rippled through the crowd as security wrestled the microphone away. My parents sat frozen in mortification as their carefully constructed family image shattered publicly. I found myself moving toward the stage, a strange calm guiding me. Taking the microphone, I faced the confused guests. "Well, that was unexpected." I began, earning nervous laughter. "Families are complicated, aren't they? Today isn't what any of us planned, but maybe it's what we needed. My sister isn't getting married tonight, but she is celebrating her strength and new beginning. If you can stay and support that, we'd love to have you. If this is a bit too much drama for one evening, we completely understand." Remarkably, most guests stayed. The event transformed into something raw but genuine. Amanda, after composing herself, thanked everyone for witnessing her liberation rather than captivity, a line that earned supportive cheers. By midnight, as the last guest departed, my exhausted family gathered in a quiet corner. My father, looking decades older than he had a day before, turned to me with tear-filled eyes. "We failed you, Ruby," he said, his voice breaking. "Watching you handle this disaster with such grace while we fell apart, it's shown us what we did to you." My mother reached for my hand. "When you needed us most, we abandoned you. We've been blind and unfair." Amanda joined us, Lily sleeping against her shoulder. "I want to change this pattern," she said. "For Lily, for all of us. Can we try to heal this?" I thought of Michael waiting patiently at home and the wedding we would have in a month. "I think we can try," I answered carefully. "Maybe family therapy would be a place to start." For the first time in 6 years, I saw genuine regret, and willingness to change in their eyes. It wasn't a perfect resolution, but it was a beginning. 1 month later, I stood in the simple bridal room of Michael's family church, a stark contrast to the opulent venue of Amanda's failed wedding. My dress was elegant but modest, purchased on sale, and altered by Michael's aunt. Zoe, my maid of honor, adjusted my simple veil, while Aisha and Danny, my bridesmaids, arranged flowers. Amanda entered quietly, already dressed in the sage green bridesmaid dress that matched the others. She had insisted on paying for all the bridesmaid attire herself, a small gesture of restitution. "You look beautiful," she said, genuine admiration in her voice. The ceremony unfolded exactly as planned, simple, meaningful, focused on commitment rather than spectacle. Michael's eyes filled with tears when I appeared, and his vows spoke of building a family defined by support and understanding. My father, walking me down the aisle, had whispered, "I don't deserve this honor, but I'll spend the rest of my life trying to earn back your trust." At the reception held in the church's community center, my parents gave a toast that brought unexpected tears to my eyes. "6 years ago, we made the worst mistake parents can make," my father said publicly. "We failed to protect and support our daughter when she needed us most. Ruby, your capacity for forgiveness humbles us, and your strength inspires us. Michael, you're receiving a treasure beyond measure in this woman." Mrs. Patterson, my former landlady, who had become a dear friend, attended as my honored guest. "I always knew you were special," she told me during the reception. "You turned hardship into character, when many would have been broken by it." Our wedding dance, honeymoon road trip, and return to normal life passed in a blur of happiness. But the most surprising development awaited us upon our return. My parents invited us to Sunday dinner with news they had decided to sell the family home. "It's too full of mistakes and bad memories," my mother explained. "We want to downsize anyway, now that both of you girls have your own lives." My father slid an envelope across the table. "The proceeds will be divided equally between you and Amanda. It's not enough to make up for the past, but it's a start." The check they eventually provided covered exactly half the down payment for the small house Michael and I had been saving toward. Amanda received the same amount which she used to secure an apartment and returned to college to complete her degree. Family therapy continued weekly, sometimes painful but always productive. My parents learned to recognize their enabling patterns with Amanda and their dismissive treatment of me. Amanda worked on her independence and tendency to manipulate. I addressed my lingering resentment and difficulty trusting family commitments. A year after our wedding, Michael and I hosted Christmas in our new home. My parents arrived bearing appropriately modest gifts, having learned that materialism had been one of many unhealthy family dynamics. Amanda brought Lily, now a precocious 4-year-old, and shared news of her good grades in her return to college classes. After dinner, I took Michael aside to share news of my own. We were expecting a baby in summer. When we announced it to the family, their celebration was genuine and balanced, excited but respectful, supportive without overwhelming. Later, as I prepared the guest room where my parents would stay, I reflected on the incredible journey from homelessness to homeowner, from rejected daughter to expectant mother. The room I was arranging for guests would eventually become our child's nursery, a room freely given, with love not taken away as punishment. Forgiveness hadn't erased the past. The scars remained visible in moments of doubt or fleeting fear that support might be withdrawn. But those scars had strengthened me in unexpected ways, teaching resilience and the value of chosen family. As I smoothed the guest bed linens, I thought about the spectacular karma that had played out at Amanda's wedding. Not because I enjoyed my sister's pain, but because that public unraveling had forced a reckoning that private injustice never could. Being cast out had ultimately set me free to build genuine relationships, to discover my strength, and to create a family defined by choice rather than obligation. The path had been harder, but the destination was far richer than I could have imagined on that devastating 18th birthday. Family, I learned, is both the one we're born to and the one we choose. Sometimes the universe removes what we think we need to lead us toward what we truly deserve. Every closed door can become a stepping stone, rather than a barrier if we're brave enough to keep walking forward. Have you ever experienced a moment when seeming rejection turned out to be redirection towards something better? Share your story in the comments below. If this journey of resilience resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share with someone who might need to hear that their current struggles might be preparing them for unexpected blessings. Thank you for witnessing my story. And remember, sometimes being pushed out is actually being set free.